If you don't make profit, it doesn't make sense to do business.
Moving to Dubai, a lot of marketers aspire to be in this city today. I think the whole world is moving there.
Dubai's service level standards are different level altogether. You will not get it anywhere you go in the world. I can say I'm spoiled here. Strategy is eaten in breakfast by execution. It's more of execution rather than strategy. Strategies keep on changing. The whole idea will come to picture if you have a better execution. Learn a lot before you meet somebody. Don't just go and blabber and come back. The problems of in terms of the leads are coming, but the conversions are not happening and the leads are not good enough. That happens on a daily basis while doing sales. Be genuine, be on time, live on your commitments.
Hey there, welcome to Marketing Mavericks with Folio. Today we have Anudeep Raghuthaman with us, who currently is the head of sales and marketing of Dollar Car Rental in UAE. We talk a lot about his journey. We unpack how important on-ground sales is to actually shape marketers, how marketing and sales can work together. And also we pick advice for founders and marketers who are wanting to build a brand in UAE. Thanks a lot for your time and welcome to the podcast, Anudeep.
Hi, how are you guys?
I'm great and super stoked to interview today. The first question I always ask, Anudeep, is understanding how is it that you started your career journey, right? Can you take us back in time and tell us what did you study and what did you ended up doing as your first job?
I have done a lot of different things. I would never say that somebody should follow my career path. It was a bit of luck and a lot of hard work. It happened the way it happened. I have no regrets at all. When I was in my 10th standard, I didn't get good marks. So finally, I landed up in studying humanities. 11th and 12th, I did that. And once I finished it, I got to know that there is a course on management. So I did a course of 3 years called BA Management. After that, I joined my MBA in Pune. I did my MBA in International Business. So I was very fascinated with international business. So after 2 years, my first job was with a German logistics company, which is called as Kuehne Nagel. It's a very famous company. The actual sales per se started from that particular company. I still remember and I still tell my friends, there was a days where, you will go in the bike and going to each and every company and factory, because it's usually in the industrial areas where you require the business to come from. So people should take containers from you or air freight from you. That's what was my job was. And from there, when I was studying my MBA, my roommate who introduced me to the concept of retail, and I was very fascinated with the way the things were there and all that. So while I was doing my MBA, I was very much interested in getting into retail. And at that time, organized retail was very new to India. So your Center Point, Shopper Stop, all those Pantaloons, all these brands were newly coming in and setting up the things in Pune at that time. I was trying to get my internship when I was doing my MBA. I worked in a small retail supermarket. So my profile was to make sure that all the brands are being stocked well. So I used to write down brand names, manufacturer names. So I was very fascinated that the marketer is Unilever, the manufacturer is some company in somewhere in remote part of India. They're manufacturing those products. So I used to learn that, how these stocks are being maintained, what people are buying, what is the consumer psyche. It was a small supermarket. So I had a lot of exposure, nobody to control. So I was doing everything what I wanted to do. So I used to study in the morning and I used to come and implement in the supermarket. So all those bay allocations and how we can do better retail store management and everything. All that I did in my internship. That particular time frame made me to learn sales a lot, how to handle clients. I never did B2B, so I was doing that. So after 2 years, I got an opportunity to work with a brand called Louis Philippe. It started with assistant store manager and then eventually become a city manager. That was a great experience and exposure for retail. So it's a formal brand. So I introduced to the formal branding, how it works, and the whole culture of Aditya Birla was in front of me. So it was a great experience. Then I moved on to Shopper Stop. That was a totally different ballgame because there you have different brands in one particular department. And you're handling the whole show. So then I was feeling the pressure of you're actually moving on to second stage of your career. And then I was realizing that I was not doing enough to grow, as in what should I do? Teaching was something which I always wanted to do. I was giving lectures while I was doing my corporate job in my previous college and other colleges also back in Pune. So I took a 2 year sabbatical. I just completely moved myself out from a corporate and to a proper full-time lecturer's job in an MBA institute back in India. It was a game-changing time. Nobody would have done that. I took that risk. All my friends were doing different things, and I was doing a very different thing, totally different thing. It was a great experience. I learned a lot because it was not a normal MBA college. There was a lot of purpose was there. People coming and giving lectures on that. The podcast system was not started at that time. So there was kids. We used to have these events every quarter where these renowned people used to come and share their experiences and everything through presentations. So the whole organizing thing was done by the kids itself. So it was a great experience. Meanwhile, I did a lot of courses with IIM Ahmedabad and IIT Delhi and all that. So it happened that I got a chance to move to Dubai for some time, just for fun. And then I realized that this is something which is pulling me to be here in this city. And I was trying to get into corporate, but I was not getting any opportunity because you have done sizable amount of teaching and everything. So people were actually trying to recruit you in those areas only. I just got an opportunity with SPGM School of Global Management. There, I got an opportunity as an academic researcher. So we were actually helping the kids to do research work. Plus, we were doing separate research works also. It was amazing experience. I was introduced to different industries, their problems, because the dissertations used to be live projects. So if a company is going through with some problem, the kids used to come up with that problem, and we were used to, from a marketing perspective, what can be done to resolve that issue was something which we were doing. So in a cohort would be around 100 kids. So 100 different projects you're working with. While I was doing one of the dissertations, one of my older colleague was one of my student, and my current GM came to see the presentation. While I was taking the presentation, after the presentation, he asked me, why don't you join us? So I said, it's a good opportunity. And then since then, I'm with Dollar Car Rental. I joined them as a customer service head. And now I am the head of sales and marketing. It's equivalent to an assistant general manager.
Fantastic journey. Thank you so much for sharing all the details with us. Marketeers recommend to early team members and young people that, sweat in the sun, sell, be at the marketplace where customers are actually interacting to buy, right? And you did a lot of that at the earlier parts of your career. As somebody who's also leading marketing in their current role, what does initial sales roles teach you about marketing?
See, the initial sales roles teaches you a lot of patience which you require to get the deals converted, and how do you organize yourself as a salesman. See, the problem with Indian mentality is when they say salesman, their thoughts are not very great. They think that it's a normal guy who just come over and decide to sell something, right? You are a normal guy with a lot of people who are doing the same thing which you are also trying to do. It's all about how do you differentiate yourself, because as a company procurement manager or a sales guy who's inside the company, or somebody who's going to buy your product, might be anybody for that matter, he would be meeting a hell lot of people in a day, right? So the point is, how do you differentiate yourself, right? Either you differentiate yourself with a product which you're trying to sell, or you're trying to differentiate yourself by the way you're putting across things to the customer, right?
Right.
All whatever you study in your MBAs or in your graduation, and whatever you've been learning from your training classes and everything, you need to implement that. You need to see how things work, right? It cannot be like one of the examples I'll give you. I was very surprised and shocked once one of the procurement guy literally asked me to bribe him, right, to get the deal. I was shocked. I didn't know how to react onto it, and I said, "Okay, I'll get back to you." Correct. So that is the way the world is. You study about it, you learn about it. You might have seen in a movie or something like that. However, actually, when it happens, you don't know how to react onto it. Correct. Days where you're expected to reach to a meeting where it's pouring outside, and you're still expected to reach on time, right? That's the way you differentiate yourself. You're showing the commitment of a meeting which has been organized, you rather than calling the customer and saying that I cannot reach because it's raining right now. It is small things which was very important at that time also, and now also, which differentiates yourself. When you give a word to a customer when you're meeting them, saying that I will get back to you or I will do a certain thing, and if you don't actually do it, it literally pisses anybody for that matter. You understand what I'm saying? It creates the differentiation. That's the most important thing. You're giving a word, you live with it, you die with it. That's the important thing. right? If you don't do that as a salesman, then you will not create a partnership with anybody, or there is no association. They might not associate with you as a person who is genuine, right?
Yeah.
That genuinity is something which you earn in sales job. If you don't earn that genuinity, numbers will not happen. Even
Right.
if it happens, it will not sustain.
Correct.
So you need to create that. That how do you create it is something which you will learn by yourself. But these are the points which I feel you should have as a early age salesman, and eventually in your career also, that you should keep in mind while doing sales. Be genuine, be on time, be live on your commitments. Learn a lot before you meet somebody. Don't just go and blabber and come back. I have a peculiar problem. I want to hear something, and if they don't say that, I don't like to hear anything further, right? That has a problem with most of the people, because there is a way you want them to say things to you that if doesn't happen initially in the initial structure of your presentation, then eventually you don't like to talk about it, right? That happens a lot. So that's something which a salesman should understand, what he would like to hear and how he would like to hear, and put across to him. I go today also for sales meetings, right, with my sales team.
Yeah.
It might be different industry, logistics, supply chain, retail. I might have no knowledge about them in as such per se, but I have a clue what they do, right? I know exactly what pain points they usually go through.
Correct.
That I know very well. Okay, so when I'm pitching my product and when I am going for a meeting, I can talk non-stop for a lot of time about their industry. So I'm very clear about what exactly this industry does, what usually their pain points are, and those pain points can be covered by my product, my services, and I can pitch in and I can talk sensibly. The other person will definitely understand, rather than just showing off the product and saying this is the price which I can sell the product at you. Doesn't make sense. So that conversation is more meaningful. That conversation is little longer. The conversation is more fruitful, even though it might not materialize in the near future, but eventually it materializes. It eventually gives me the result which I am expecting them to do. So that is the most important thing. You need to know them very well. Then only go and talk to them. Otherwise, there's no point in talking.
Right. That's right. You're currently in an interesting role of leading sales and marketing both. And in my experience and looking at other teams, there's always a tiff between sales and marketing. Where marketing always is, yeah, marketing is always complaining. My leads are good, sales is not converting. Sales is always complaining that marketing's leads are actually very bad, and they don't really have any active needs. So there's a lot of push and pull because you lead both and it converges in you, right? Both the roles and departments. What's like one advice you have to make sure that marketing and sales team work well together?
It's a very interesting time of my life where I'm living right now. So, for example, I'll just give you a brief what I do. I have three departments who reports to me. There are three different department heads who reports to me, and then there is something marketing which is separately happening. Okay. So these three people on a daily basis tell me what is happening in their leads or their conversions, and what is happening in terms of the sales performance and everything. On a daily basis, that conversion is happening. So I'm pretty much aware where they're going wrong, where they're going right, what can be done, what cannot be done. Correct? That's an advantage which I always carry.
Right.
But in terms of marketing, their inputs are predominantly on, okay, I'm trying to do increase in sales. I'm trying to create more leads for particular deal. And I'm not getting good leads, as you said. Correct? Because I'm hearing it on a daily basis, for me, the tweaking happens very fast. I don't need to wait for a weekly meeting to happen. I'm changing my tweaks on the campaign more or less after every 3 days and seeing the results immediately, right? So I'm not saying that I'm successful all the time. I do a lot of trial and error methods and try to see what can be done. But the core fundamentals of marketing in terms of understanding the psyche of the customer, trying to pitch in the right message to the customer, that happens from my side because I'm getting that information very much in my intact. Then it's the agency which there is an interaction which happens with me wherein I give them the brief. Okay, this is what I wanted, and then they try to make the campaigns around it. So the problems of in terms of the leads are coming, but the conversions are not happening, and the leads are not good enough. That happens on a daily basis. However, I am in pretty much control because of the thing is that I'm seeing it on a daily basis, and corrections can be done on a regular basis. So it's a good feeling. I mean, I don't need to complain to anybody. I'm the one who has to take the decision, so it's fine.
You need one authority who kind of controls both those touch points. I think the moment that happens, right, is you are able to get the bigger picture. Often, if sales heads and marketing heads are siloed out and they don't converge into one person or one data lake, everybody has a lot of things to blame because it's never your fault, of course.
See, there is another perspective towards it. It's not very easy to a person to have a very clear perspective towards both the streams, right? Sales, you will see a lot of people who are very, very good in sales and might not have a very great perspective towards marketing. Either way around, people would have been very much aware of marketing, but they don't have much of perspective, clarity on what sales does. So that's the issue which most of the companies go through. So you need to have a balanced personality sitting between both these departments and clearly explaining them and doing things on day-to-day basis. See, my perspective towards this is it's more of execution, which is rather than more of strategy. Correct? Strategies keep on changing, plans keep on changing. You need to do a lot of things at the same time. The whole idea or effectiveness will come to picture if you have a better execution. There's a famous saying by, I forgot the name of the person. He's a management guru. If I'm not wrong, it's Peter Drucker. He said, strategy is eaten in breakfast by execution. So you might be making great strategies throughout the night, right? But at the end of the day, in the morning, that has to get executed. If that is not getting executed, then the strategy, even though on paper looks very good, but on ground doesn't make sense. Syncness has to come into picture. So if you don't have hands-on experience what sales go through, doesn't make whatever campaign you make, best of advertisements you make, spend hell of money on marketing, it will not give you conversions. End of the day, the company requires conversions. Money has to flow in. That is the basic understanding everybody should have, not only marketing and sales. Everybody in the organization should understand this. If the money doesn't flow in, you are not doing business. If the money is only going out, you are actually bleeding. You're not doing a good job.
Correct. Absolutely.
Right?
Profit is the best way to solve all your problems.
Profit is the way. Yeah. Precisely. If you don't make profit, it doesn't make sense to do business.
Absolutely. I want to now ask you a question about moving to Dubai. A lot of marketers aspire, a lot of people rather aspire to be in this city today. I think the whole world is moving there for various reasons. Some people, might be hesitant on the fact that as a marketer, you need to know your consumer. Now, if you've been brought up in India, lived in India, worked in India, studied in India, you know so much about India. But if at a certain age, which are not your formative years, you skip to moving to another city, you may, or another country, you may lose out on those market information you had, right, which makes you good with your ideas. You've of course done that. You succeeded. You are also, leading marketing for, large company there. What's your advice to people who want to make the jump but are afraid that I may not understand the market?
I mean, the first thing is be on the ground, at least for initial couple of years. If you be on the ground, you will understand the psyche of each and every expat who is here. Even though the percentage of expats of Indians or Asians per se would be higher than Europeans or Middle East people over here. However, you will see a good sizable number of decision makers are from other part of the world, right? So you need to have ground zone experience of how these people react to a certain situation or how do they prefer things and what is their consumer psyche and everything. And that can be learned by being on the ground, be very vigilant and very observatory in terms of your approach. So initially, the best way, if you see, go to a supermarket, you see there are different kinds of supermarkets over here, which is totally targeting to a certain kind of a community. Correct. So, for example, I might be going to a Lulu because I get a lot of Indian things over there. Correct. At the same time, I don't care, or I don't care is not the right word. I have usually tried to go to Carrefour also because I'd like some products over there. Correct. But there's a certain segment of people, like for example, the Middle Eastern customers, definitely love to go to Carrefour than going to a Lulu. Then you have Westerners who love to go to a Choitram or a Spinneys or all other British side of things, right? So why is like that? Because people want to relate to their products which they used to have while they were living in those countries. That's a very clear indication how the people react in a certain way, correct? So even though they might like to say, for example, I would love to go to a Carrefour to buy things. However, I would love to buy the basic grocery of my life from Lulu because I relate to it more than going to a Carrefour, even though the same products are available there. But I still get little edge over there because I get extra something or extra product which I am used to using over there. That's a psyche. And you need to understand, while I've said in my business, I have all kinds of customers, not only Asians, Westerners, and all that. And there's a shift which I'm seeing. Initially, when I started the business, when I was working with this company, a lot of Westerners were the people who used to take rent a cars. Correct. So that was because they have seen doing rent a car, and in part of the world where we have come from, there's no concept of rent. Even if it is there, it is not that famous. So people don't use rent a cars. So I have seen that shift happening where the Westerners is taking the vehicle. However, the Middle Eastern people are also taking the vehicle, and the Asians are also taking the vehicle. They are changing towards what the situation they are in front in that particular country.
Correct.
You got my point. So things are moving out. People are being more open to changes. And things are, like I said, I'd like to go to Carrefour to buy a few things which I don't get in Lulu. I can be adamant in going only to Lulu and not buy those things. So that's the way. So if you are not on the ground, you will not understand how people relate to different things and how you can pitch your product to different people and get the results out of it. Correct. So I might be meeting an Egyptian today. My way of talking would totally be different from meeting a local of this country. At the same time, when I meet to an Indian, my way of talking will change.
Absolutely.
That switch on has to happen. If you only do if you understand the local market, then only you can do it. And for that, you need to be on the ground.
I think couldn't agree more. I wanted to also follow up on this with another angle. I and a lot of other founders, right, see Dubai as a very exciting space. Middle East is a very exciting space to do business, where you can deliver in India but work with clients there. And I often see many people failing to crack the Middle East market. Right, I think there are certain things people get wrong. Do you feel that there are some things you observed where companies from India or foreign come, they try to kind of put a cookie clutter, plug and play model, and they fail in Middle East? Any learnings you have which you can share with us?
So first thing, the service part of it. It's a very high standards of service is expected from each and every delivery customer, companies and corporates and whoever it may be. Dubai's service level standards are in different level altogether. You will not get in any cross any world, anywhere you go in the world. I've been traveling and I've seen that. I mean, I can say I'm spoiled here.
Okay.
I don't like to go anywhere else. Trust me. I mean, there is a lot of opportunity which I get in Europe and Australia and all that. I don't want to go. The only reason is I'm already spoiled here. I don't want to go there.
Right.
Correct. So because of the way things are, I'll give you a classic example. I stay in a building. There is a supermarket next to my house. Okay. I have become so lazy. I don't want to go to the supermarket to purchase things. I just give them a call. That guy will come up with all the things which I want. And it will all be having a high standard of quality. It's not that if I'm not seeing it, they'll put anything and everything and just given the delivery. It's not like that. And there are timelines within 30 minutes, within 10 minutes, they will come and deliver the things. So that's the high standards which you are living with. So to what you have done in India, whatever has been very successful, the mentality of people are totally different. So once you come over here, if you want to replicate that business model, you need to understand the most important thing is the service part. If you don't, if you're committing something, it has to be delivered. If you have coming up with some kind of a service model and you have been very successful in India and you want to replicate it, it has to be second level up. It cannot be the same. And second thing which people miss out is it's not a vast market like India. So even if you lose out one or two customers, it's fine. I mean, you will get something else, right? You still can survive if you are good enough in what you're doing. Over here, it's not like that. It's a very small industry, not in terms of the size of it, but in the sense people know each other.
Correct.
So if you do wrong or as a company, you have not been delivering what is required to a particular company, the news flies very fast.
Right.
And everything over here is all about the relationships. Right? If I have a good relationship with you and I have been having a good experience with you, I will recommend you to 10 more people. But if any one of them doesn't have a good experience with you, they will just shut down that door. That's it. And everything else around them will just shut down. These are the two major things which any company who wants to set up something over here has to understand.
Right.
high level of standards, and committing and living with your commitments.
Superb. I think that's a great framework to kind of chase, because these are definitely different things in India. Service is one aspect, but 100% the number of players playing the game, right? It's so
Yeah,
less.
yeah, yeah.
I think it's
So, I
very
mean, there are so many things. Like, for example, Talabat is one of the delivery app which we have over here, right? Like, you have their Zomatos and everything else, Swiggy and everything. I mean, those guys are running in a different league altogether. Like, just recently we did a deal with Amazon. They are trying to do deliveries in 10 minutes.
right.
So just imagine the 10 minutes logistics and supply chain, what kind of things they need to do to make sure that 10 minutes or 20 minutes it gets delivered. You're going to a shopping mall and your cars are being washed and kept nicely by the mall itself, right? That's a service standard. So you go to an Indian mall, you don't even get a parking space which you can put your car properly. So
Right.
forget about anything else. I'll give you a classic example. The governments, like for example, we have RTO in India, Road Transport Authority.
Right.
Here it is RTA, Road Transport Authority. What happens is everything is online. Everything is very seamless. They are thinking of 20 years ahead what has to be done. You
Right.
understand? So all those things have been already visioned. They are planning. They're now executing one by one, right? So service level, like for example, you met with an accident. Earlier when I came to Dubai, at times police used to come. It's not that you will just keep on standing in the road and fight each other and blame each other. You don't do that. You
Right.
come on the side of the road because others have to move, right?
Correct.
You come on the side of the road, the police will come, see the situation, and accordingly decide who has the mistake, and they'll just issue the police report. Now things have moved on to a level where the police doesn't come at all. You just take a picture through the app of Dubai Police, take the pictures. Pictures will automatically decide, the AI will decide whose mistake it was. Automatically, the report will come to your WhatsApp. That's it, done.
Fantastic.
Nothing. Everything else will be taken care of.
Fantastic.
So that's service level which a government is giving. Just imagine. So you just imagine if a service provider or a product provider, how much should be your this thing would
I think
be.
definitely big benchmarks to kind of meet if you want to get into a new, country and a geography like Middle East. Anudeep, now we're just heading to the last part. Two pieces of advice I wanted. One was for I think anybody who's interested in business, right? You've taught at business schools. Anything you see which was in the curriculum, which you feel right now the curriculum's not evolved enough, because you usually see what's happening today takes maybe a year or two or sometimes more to get into the curriculum. So what can't I learn at a B school? Anything you want to share?
As you said, curriculums are getting evolving every day, day in, day out. However, the thing which I believe people should give more importance is on the presentational skills, right? That's something which is very, very important. Now the world will become a situation where if you cannot present well, you will not be even standing. It's already become like that.
True.
So you need to have that confidence in your communication and confidence in your written and verbal communications, and this all soft skills of presentability and how do you present the things, and as I said, the commitment part of it. These are the principles which you live in. So these are things which you cannot be taught in the class, right? So you need to live with your principle, define the principles which you live with, right? And that will differentiate yourself big time. You might be seeing a lot of colleges are teaching you big data and data analytics and all that. That is something that gives you an extra edge in your decision making. So you need to be well versed with all data management programs and data analytics, predictive analytics, all sort of data understanding, consumer buying behaviors, psyches, and all that. These subjects has to be given more importance, and the most important would be the financial management part. So if financial management is being taught, something very important should be taught is the working capital management. That's the most important thing which everybody misses out, right? They teach you merger and acquisitions, funding, and all sort of things which they have to teach, but they always forget the working capital management. If you start something, how do you survive for 1,000 days? And after 1,000 days, how are you going to scale up from there? So that's something which you need to understand as a startup, that the business has to run for 1,000 days. If it runs for 1,000 days, it will run, right? And from there, how do you scale up? So any business which you think of should have to have perspective of scaling up. If it doesn't have scaling up perspectives, then it's not going to work. Even though everybody will say that your business should solve a problem which you are seeing in the market, but if that doesn't have a scalability, you will not go. All these things has to be taught in the class. So teaching the kids how to scale it up, how to see a bigger vision, how to see a bigger perspective of solving a problem is the most critical thing, and that's where the curriculum should incorporate these things into these things.
Fantastic points, and I completely relate to that. I see a lot of my friends who studied often in these places, and once they kind of enter the industry, they kind of get punched by it, and they're like, "Oh wow, we have to create a new playbook every time." जो सीखा है वो तो पर it's every job, every company, every geography is completely new. So I fully resonate with that. Last question, Anudeep, and a parting thought. A lot of folks would want to be, in your position one day, probably move countries, go somewhere else, lead a global brand, be a head of marketing somewhere, and they are probably young right now. Any advice as a parting thought to them on how they could be in your shoes one day? How can they have a successful career?
The first and the most important thing which I would always say is be genuine. Okay, be truthful to yourself. Don't fake it out. Nothing is going to be lasting if you're faking. Everybody will say that find an aim or find a thing which you want to do in your life and all that stuff. It's not going to happen one day or second day or next 1 year or 5 years. I still trying to find out what is the best thing which I should do.
Right.
So that doesn't mean I will not do what I'm doing right currently in the right way. Correct. So be genuine in it. Be truthful to it. Don't cut corners. Okay. Once you do cut corners, that's what easily you're leading yourself to a disaster. So anything, even if there is a good thing going to happen, when it happens, you will not be able to enjoy it or you will not be able to absorb it to the fullest. And
Right.
it will give reactions. And then when the reactions happen, you'll get disappointed and depressed. So don't lie. So you will be happy in life. Try to be more grounded. Things will happen.
Awesome. That's again some incredible advice, and what a note to end the podcast on. Thank you so much for your time, Anudeep. I hope you had fun.
Thank you. Thank you. It was a great experience for me to have an interaction with you and looking forward for much more interactions like this. Good job.
Thank you so much. It was also a pleasure. For everybody who's tuned along, if you'd like to hear another marketing leader soon, please like, share, and subscribe. A new episode will come out very soon. Bye.
Thank you.